In today's video, I'm going to go over some various settings and nuances of dimensioning in Revit. So under the Annotate tab over on the left, we have a dimension panel. And so some of these are going to be self-explanatory. So I'm going to choose the align dimension and go over the settings and the nuances of this dimension, and they kind of apply to everything else. So you'll have a pretty good idea after going over this one. So keyboard shortcut is DI, or you can select align. So before we get started, let's take a look at the options bar. So the first thing on the options bar is where you want the dimension to start by default. And this will help you out choosing the right spot, but it doesn't have to be this location. You can start it on a different location. So I'm going to say faces of core. And then we have individual reference or entire wall. By default, it's normally set to individual reference or whatever you used last. So I'm going to start and show you what it looks like with entire walls. So entire walls just means you can pick the one wall and the dimension for it will populate. So that's kind of cool. It might help you out in certain cases, but in certain cases it may not go to exactly where you want it to go. So now let's go to individual references. So now this is where you want to place it everywhere you want it to place. So let's say it's kind of defaulting to that face of that core. I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to hover over where I want the dimension to go and press tab on my keyboard until it highlights in blue where I want to pick. I want to pick that. So that looks good. Same thing again. If I just need to hover your mouse over where you want the dimension to go and then click. So I'm just single clicking here. So click. And then to end the dimension, you want to hover your mouse over somewhere where it won't pick anything and then click again. And you can also see that it's snapping for me at a good dimension away from the other one. You can see there's kind of a light blue line there. And I'm going to click. And there I have it. So a couple of things. We have two blue dots on this witness line. And the middle one enables you to move witness line. So you can hover over the blue dot, click and hold, and then you can move your mouse and hover over where you want the dimension to go. And that moves it. I'm going to hit escape twice on my keyboard. Let's say I want to add to this dimension string. I want to continue it down the line, but I don't want a new one. I want this to all be one so they're all connected. So you click on the dimension, click edit witness line or EW, and then you continue going. Again, click, click, and then click somewhere to finish it. If I double click on the actual dimension, the number of the dimension, dialog box comes up. So you can add text fields above, before, after, or below it, and you can replace with text also if you wanted to get rid of the dimension. So let's just use the actual value and say, I'm just going to put an example, say max below it. And that max is showing up now. So there's another blue dot right under the dimension and it says drag text. So this means you can move it and a leader will automatically populate. If you didn't want that leader but you wanted to move the text, over in the properties palette, you can uncheck leader. So all of these settings for the tick marks and the leader style, line weights, if you wanted arrows instead of these ticks right here, all those settings are an edit type. So there's a lot of settings to go under. I'm not going to go over them today, but I advise you to go through them and kind of play around with them and see which one will work best for you. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I'd love to hear from you. Like this video if you learned something, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next lesson.